Hello, guys. This is Alex Julian, or Aloysius Zanderman here, and tonight I will be doing a talk show. A talk show in which I review a very popular, or at least what was once a very popular album by Elton John called Too Low for Zero. And as you can see, I have my USA shirt on, along with a woman's beanie, just to show here, well, what's so feminine about this? I mean, if I look handsome, that's what matters. It's actually only uh, the crude kind of gentleman who says something like, this rag is for women and this rag is for men, you know. I like to talk about imaginary friends like that because I know that is one. But definitely the album Too Low for Zero by Elton John was a 1980s album that did have that question into place of what is masculine and what is feminine. And definitely the album for the time was speaking in terms of like the battle of the sexes, such as what is masculine and what is feminine. And I'm sure there would be some people looking at my cap here and they would not believe that it's for women, but technically, actually, yes, it is for women. But am I a man enough to be daring to reinterpret fashion? I mean, look, USA. Candy coated looking cap and a beard. And I toast this Diet Pepsi to you for tonight with memories of that great classic by Elton John called Too Low for Zero. And if you're not in memory of it, let me toast to that with some wisdom here. You see, time does fly for us when it comes to our memories. When it comes to our memories, and I never lived in the 1980s except as a toddler growing up. My family is a hoarding family, and now I am donating items to Goodwill and Salvation Army and more thrift stores because I have too many memories to count. Jim Croce was correct in his time when he mentioned that photographs and memories were all he had to remember someone. But then again, you know what's the problem with that photograph thing? Photographs are no longer made by Kodachrome. Our photos are no longer made by film so much. Now we could store photos in smartphones. And definitely with the album Too Low for Zero by Elton John, uh, the album speaks in a lot of religious tune. There would even be titles to songs in the album like Religion, Saint, One Arrow, Crystal. And definitely there is that sort of Monty Pythonish sort of world that exists in this album a little bit because of how it's it's like a wonderland with faraway places to reach to. I mean, after all, you would get this kind of whipping boy sensation with a bride kiss or with something that stands as one man stands. And memories do compete, as in memories from the past compete in a lot of fluctuation with intensity and brevity and romance and love and hate and doubts and drama and humor and horror. And definitely there's a lot of blending of emotions in this album, in this 1980s album, Too Low for Zero, that are very, very well done. It's not easy to talk about a saint or to talk about a religion or to talk about, those memories with some very interesting intuition for what it means to have a spirit, what it means to have a soul. And piano work, of course, is what Elton John is often known for, although that would be a gross simplicity at this point, because the fact is, Elton John's music can really highlight a variety of musical instruments, as in a variety. And there would be the types of piano key work that would seem as if like it's made out of jingle bells on top of jingle bells on top of jingle bells on top of jingle bells. It's really crazy and it's really immense with the abstraction of the electric piano keys. But then again, some keys in Elton John's music for this album are not necessarily the type that get into a real huge creative flavor in terms of where things go for the nostalgia and where things go for the past of what has happened to have happened. And definitely it's not wise of an old man like my dad to recommend the album when he is not willing to play the music around. um, young people. At times, my dad would be like the kind of a old person who would, um, for lack of a better term, he would recommend or not recommend certain albums, and at the same time, he would have this kind of denialism of what music really sounds like. And it would get to the point that he would recommend music even when he's not actually playing the music. At times, there were moments when he did play music that he did recommend, but not always. And it does come to that kind of failure of nostalgia to explain something when memories can be too harsh, or memories can get or memories can get competitive. And just when you go on YouTube and when you look at all these songs by Elton John in Too Low for Zero, you soon realize what the view counts for these YouTube videos, these YouTube music selections, how deep memories can go. At times, very few people remember specific and particular songs by Elton John. Very few people. That has immense significance when it comes to the failures of nostalgia as well as the successes of nostalgia. Should we call it a memory if somebody is unwilling to play a song from the past? Should we call it a memory that involves no experience of the memory? I mean, I would find that really risky. I mean, just in terms of what it means to have a 1980s album like Too Low for Zero. Because according to my dad, anyway, the album was Elton John's comeback. It was his comeback into the world of music from there being a delay. Now, I could definitely say, from a historical perspective, there was a delay in Elton John's success in the 1980s because of that Fox album. I mean, all right. Okay, now, there were songs on that Fox album by Elton John there were songs that were not so cool or not so humorous or not so funny. Um, we would be talking about an obscure album like The Fox by Elton John that had weird selections like Fascist Faces or something from Belgium um, and definitely there were distasteful remarks made by Elton John in his music for in his lyrics for the Fox album, and I think for that reason that's why the album of the Fox did not pan very well with fans. Um, but then again, I mean, I do not want to be so much of a panhandler of music and have this kind of begging tune in a review, especially as a critic here. And, and I wouldn't beg artists to produce something really good, but then again, Elton John has things that could go against him in terms of the past. Because there were different albums, there were different records, there were different CDs, there were different labels, and that all adds up to what we think of Elton John today with his music. And I definitely notice that a lot of people were purchasing Elton John's albums in the past. And obviously, as the years go by, less of the original customers are around to talk about Elton John's past works, because some customers have gone away, and also there may be customers that may refuse to remember something from the past. And definitely there is there are shades of denialism here and there when it comes to fandom for Elton John. And it can get competitive to recount which memories are greater than others. Some memories of Elton John's works are close to us. There are close memories for what he did, and there are other memories that are distant or even impossible, especially if we get into silver grades of music that he did, such as Leather Jackets and The Fox. Now, Leather Jackets and The Fox do not equal each other. Those are not the same album, because those are two separate albums. And yet, Too Low for Zero by Elton John is a different album. So, I guess it depends on what differences there are and how particular or how specific the differences are for there to be a successful nostalgia or even failed nostalgia for Elton John's old works. And it must be understood, and definitely this is something that um, I only remember because of MTV on this and recorded videos from MTV's channel. Elton John had music video hits, as in hits of music videos. And it would definitely be foolish to talk about Elton John's Too Low for Zero album without remarking on his ability to make a dramatic scene in a music video. Um, and yet, like there's the presence of a music video and the absence of a music video that take different corners and trims of approval or denial here and there for fan nostalgia. And definitely there's something to be said about pride and about learning pride. Um, um, it is definitely important for us to learn what pride is and not just despise pride. Um, but then again, when you get into the 1980s albums and the 1990s albums by Elton John, we soon discover that there are moments where pride does take less effect than other sources of pride. Elton John in his albums would have a lot of pride. Pride, as in pride to be standing again, to still be standing again. Um, Definitely there were romantic forms of ego with Elton John. And ego was a background of Elton John's work. Ego in the sense of something like, I must make a march on this little issue, or else I'm unresponsive to the whole issue. It can seem like that with Elton John's albums when it comes to that background of which we may be familiar or not be familiar. And Too Low for Zero was a 1980s album that spoke on a lot of background by then. It could even seem like Elton John wanted to be a new man in some way with the Too Low for Zero album label. And there's trust issues. Um, Let's see. Yeah, just trust issues between Elton John and his fans. And definitely there are moments where um, negative fans are in the shadows, or negative fans are in the void, wherever that void may be. And Too Low for Zero was that kind of album by Elton John, which could really speak in a lot of tune to religion, especially tune. And definitely, I think religious leaders, especially the ones for um, churches and temples and mosques, um, religions can learn to have more of that tune in their works, as in tune. And even from a nostalgic perspective, Too Low for Zero was an album with a lot of variety of tune, as in tune for the sakes of tune and with varying pitch, with a lot of musical flavor, as in flavor of musical notes that can speak in a large portion that nostalgia can cover so much of. Some people have forgotten the album Too Low for Zero by Elton John. They have. And Too Low for Zero would definitely be under the radar for some fans. And some fans may be unwilling to remember for the sakes of remembering, because it would be too much to remember, and maybe there would be memories that would be harsh um, or intense. But definitely, when it comes to um, an album like Too Low for Zero, for those who are in the know of nostalgia for this album, it speaks greatly and grandly as a troubled masterpiece in Elton John's history, in his history of music. And hopefully, there could be enough nostalgia left these days for there to be new fashion for Too Low for Zero, since the old fashion is heading out of the way. And it's the new fashion over the old fashion that we should definitely be in watch for.